Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Book Review blog. I am your book reviewer, and today we're going to review the book Twilight by Stephenie Meyer. I kind of assume that you all have not been living under a rock or, in a cave for the last, about 7 years, because this book was written in 2005, so let's say that. So, as you know, the big hoopla about this book and most likely the movie with the characters and the actors and actresses who play them. So, yay. So, mine is going to be a little bit about that. Brief synopsis for those who maybe have been living under a rock for the last 7 years, or those who had no interest. But then also add a little things of my own. So let's start with how I kind of came across this book. I must tell you that in my readings, vampires are not really the thing that I'm most interested in. And I'd never heard of this book series, and I would have maybe never heard of it, or never been interested in it if it had not been for a friend of mine who, through also mutual friends, not just one, I guess, had said, "Oh, Megan, you have to read this book. You really do. It's about vampires, and it's all about a love story." And I'm like, I don't like vampires. The only instance that other than, I guess, Dracula and, kind of that type of thing, but I'd never read that book. But the only vision I had of vampires, or the only instance where I had read a book about vampires, was when I read Salem's Lot by Stephen King. So, and that's more like in the 1970s, let's say if a vampire lived in today's world of 1970 something. So that was way more of a traditional vampire story, only comes out at night, can't come out during the day type of thing. Anyway, this is a lot different. It starts with, obviously, a teenage girl named Bella, whose full name is Isabella, and she moves with her dad in Forks, Washington, and that place does actually exist. It's in the upper left corner of Washington. It's very close to the Canadian border. And her dad is a police chief in Forks, Washington. It's a very, very small town. And eventually she starts school there, and it's about January, I would say. January, February. And she meets a bunch of new friends, and she meets this one little family who her friends say are the Cullens, and they're like, everything is weird about them. They all live together, but they're all adopted, and they all live together, but they're all kind of together. There's 5 of them. There you go. There are in the book. The a little difference is that their names. Their names are Rosalie, Emmett, Alice, Jasper, and Edward. Rosalie and Jasper do not have the last name of Cullen. Their last name is Hale, and there's a backstory to that. Again, just to kind of cover their butts and make it like they're not all together, but all don't have the last names, but yet they are dating. Rosalie is with Emmett, and Alice is with Jasper, and which leaves Edward all by himself. So at the very beginning, Edward and Bella have a couple classes together, and Edward ignores her, and Bella is like, why? And so, but then again, they do start talking and building a relationship where now all of a sudden Bella is like enamored with him and can't stop thinking about him, and kind of vice versa. As you learn, if you're one of those who has just seen the movie and not read the book, I really encourage you to read this book. If you watch the movie and be like, yeah, it's okay. But because there are a lot of differences, this is kind of a case where if you watch, if the movie comes out, please read the book. There are differences, like I said. One of the big differences is that there is much more explanation. The book is in Bella's point of view, so you get to know her role as caretaker of her and her dad, Charlie. There's way more, like a kind of caretaking role where she does the laundry, she cooks dinner, because Charlie has been living by himself for the last, 16 or 17 years. And so she kind of takes on the maternal role there, which is not in the movie. In the movie, I believe they go out a lot. But, and one of the things is that you learn very little about Edward's background in the movie, of how he became a vampire and kind of what was his background. You get a lot more background of him in the book, and you also get the backgrounds of Carlisle, which is his father, Esme, which is his mother, a little bit of Alice. I think Alice is a little later. You get Emmett's, and that's it. Jasper's and Rosalie's will come later on in the series. I think both of them are in the third installment. But you do get a lot more background of where these people came from and how they became vampires, which is a really interesting story. And then you definitely get a little more character development with her friends, with Bella's friends, the human ones, I guess. She is mainly friends of Jessica, who's in the book, Mike, who's in the book, Angela, who's in the book, Eric and Tyler, or they're all in the movie, I'm sorry. There's one character who is not in the movie. Her name is Lauren. And Lauren is kind of standoffish towards Bella. She's very jealous of Bella just because she's kind of the new kid and just gets all the attention from all the boys and things like that. One of the things that's also very different is that Bella, to me, seems like a way more normal teenager in the book, or a female teenager in the book than in the movie. She's very, she likes to gossip. She talks to her friends a lot. She talks to Jessica on the phone a lot. And there's a scene where she goes to a nearby city called Port Angeles, which is also a real city, and tries on dresses with the girls. And where in the movie that scene is there, but she's more standoffish. In the book, she's way more into it and offers her opinions and things like that. So there are a lot of little differences in the book than in the movie. There are also things that happen in both book and movie happen at different times. Let me give you an example. There's a part where, the part where Jacob, when they go to La Push Beach, if you're familiar with the movie, and Bella kind of runs into Jacob. In the movie, that's her second time seeing Jacob, but in the book, that's her first. And it's kind of interesting because Bella knows that Bella kind of tests that Jacob and his friends know about Edward and his family, and this is before Bella realizes that what Edward and his family really are. But this is Jacob kind of tells Bella who they are, or what he believes they are. But and in the movie, that's not really the case. It is kind of, but then Bella kind of makes her own assumptions later on in the movie. In the book, she kind of assumes what they are right there. And Jacob is, in the book, he's more just kind of not with it necessarily, where he's not understanding of what's going to happen in the future books between Jacob and Bella, and Edward, which you know all about. But he's more like, oh, this is what my family believes, but I don't really know, I don't believe about it, and I don't understand it. So, and again, it's kind of the same, but there are the same highlights. Like they do have, they do play vampire baseball, which was always my favorite part in the movie. And they do have the altercation with Laurent, Victoria, and James. One of the another main difference is that in the movie, they do have those two instances or murders with James, Victoria, and Laurent. In the book, you don't. You don't. The first time that you hear from Laurent, Victoria, and James is at the baseball game. When the Cullens meet them for the first time. You don't hear about them or any attacks or anything in the book prior to that. So that's it. I enjoyed the book again. I enjoyed it. I actually enjoyed the first Twilight movie when it came out. I saw it in theaters, and I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed the book as well. It's not my favorite of the series, but it's kind of up there. I do like ones better than others, but I like ones less than others. So, my next book that I'm going to do is a book called Triangles, and if you can see, it's by the author Ellen Hopkins, and as you know, I've done her before. What's different about this one is that whereas books like Crank and Identical, and also more books in the Crank series, are focused on young adults, this one focuses on more adults. So I've never read it before, and I look forward to reading it. So that's it, and I bid you all to have a good day and happy reading.